Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Plazy Warm Up Podcast. I am your host, Kerri Shields, and today I am very excited to have a repeat guest on with me to help me with the introduction, Sarah Capuzzi. Sarah, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, of course, you were a fan favorite. So I'm hoping moving forward to have one of our team members on every call to help me just intro kind of what's going on in our world, maybe some news, and to intro the podcast interview that we have for the week. So I know we've had a pretty crazy month. We've had some pretty big announcements. One, our AI solution, the Plazy Intelligence, that will be coming out in January of the new year, which is crazy, only a month away. And then the announcement that we will be hosting our first ever summit, the Plazy Innovator Summit. And so wanted to ask you kind of your perspective, why we're so excited to have our first summit and kind of what people should expect from their time in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to head home. I know we're both from the area, so we're very excited to show it off to everyone. But it's going to be awesome. I'm super excited to connect with everyone in person. I know I get to talk to most of our destinations in short hour increments every few months, and there is so much that we have on Plazy in terms of features and functionality that having this dedicated time to talk about how to use it, consult on best practices, what could destinations be doing differently, hear from each other of how they are using the platform, meet some awesome event organizers, and just network with the best of the best in the industry. We're super excited to have the time for a deeper dive into the product, connect with everyone, show off Valley Forge, of course, and we hope to see everyone in July.
Love it. And I know, just to give people kind of a background or maybe like an inside look into kind of your day to day, you work closely with all of our destination partners. So we have over 320 destinations that are members on our platform. And so when a destination or a sports facility becomes a member of Plazy, we take our onboarding and customer support very seriously. It's very important to us to make sure that everyone's having the best experience on our platform. Could you talk through what goes into your job on a day-to-day basis when you're talking to these destinations, and maybe how much time goes into all that you need to show within our product?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the best part of the job for sure, getting to meet and connect with everyone, learn about everything their specific destinations have to offer. I have learned more in the past 3.5 years than I ever did in geography, so it's been a great experience. But yeah, my role day to day with our customers is really, as you mentioned, ensuring they're having the best experience possible. So starting right from the time they sign on with us, we'll have a very in-depth onboarding, usually split up into 2 calls just to focus on all of our tools. And then we're always here to help however we can. So we'll just have reconnect calls to run through some new tools. We're typically always announcing a new product innovation, so we'll set up calls to run through how to use those, how to maximize them, best practices for the entire destination to use all of these solutions. So it's great to have that one-on-one time and give those demos. And I know we're excited to have dedicated time to meet with everyone at the conference or the summit as well to run through these demos too.
Awesome. And I know right now what we try to do is separate it into 2 onboarding calls. We have separated it in the past as a sales call and a marketing call for onboarding. And so now with Plazy Intelligence that's coming out, it's going to be a whole new onboarding session for people. So just being able to have that designated time to just dive deep into all that is Plazy, as well as just learn from industry leaders and experts in the world of technology and innovation. And so last week we had the opportunity to have our CEO, 2 of my co-founders, Sean Flaherty and John Gorn, our CTO, who's kind of the mastermind behind Plazy Intelligence. Could you maybe say what you took away from that conversation and why people should tune in and listen?
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely tune in and listen to that. John is way smarter than I could ever be on any of these topics. So, my biggest takeaway was just that I personally use AI a lot in my daily life. I think it's insanely helpful, very useful tool to take advantage of, but I never really knew how it works, and what goes into the LLM and all of these different terms of where the data is stored. So hearing from John in a way that was really easily digestible to interpret and know what's going on, how is my data being used, what can I see, especially in the destination point of view, what can I capture. It was awesome, and I can't wait as a traveler and looking to experience new destinations to use our AI tour guide myself. So definitely, if anyone wants to see it in action, that is part of my role. Like you asked earlier, happy to show it off and meet and go through it.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think I mentioned this in that episode, but I think it's so hard to explain all that we do in not only just a few sentences, but a few minutes. And so being able to have a long form conversation with both Sean, who I thought did a great job of explaining kind of how we got to this point and how our product has evolved over the course of the last 6 years. And then talking to John and getting the behind the scenes of, what is AI? What can people expect out of Plazy Intelligence? And all that they have to people, our customers and our event organizers, and from a larger scope, as you said, visitors ourselves can look forward to, and kind of the world of sports and tourism. And so, Sarah, I appreciate you giving your feedback. And so now to switch gears to today's conversation, we had the opportunity to speak to Arion Herbert, who is the owner and founder of Main Attraction Recreational Sports. Mars was established in 2016. They're a community-driven organization that promotes a healthy and social environment to all of their participants. They pride themselves on being a diverse and inclusive organization that creates a welcoming community in which all individuals are respected and included. You may be familiar with Mars if you've seen adult kickball on ESPN. Maybe if you've seen some of their viral clips. They've a ton throughout all of their social content. I thought one of the coolest parts of this conversation, and why it's always good to reflect on kind of the last few years of building Plazy, was that when we think of sports tourism, we might just think youth sports, and seeing that there is a world of adult competitions, sports like adult kickball is out there and growing, I thought was awesome to just dive deeper into that world. And so what were some takeaways that you had?
Yeah, I loved that. I love the origin story of how Arion and his wife started Mars and Turf Wars as an after work activity to socialize. I think, as you said, we're always thinking youth sports with sports tourism. So hearing that there's a whole realm that is spanning generations and is accessible to everyone. And that's something that Mars was really working on as well, just accessibility for all individuals to play and participate in the events. So that was awesome to hear. I loved hearing about how they work with their destination partners. It's pretty easy, I would say, to host that event. It's something that most destinations that I've met have the resources available and the spaces. So definitely recommend connecting with the team at Mars to see if you can bring it to your community, because it's an awesome event. And it has just a great community around it.
Awesome. Love it. Sarah, thank you again for being here with me to intro this podcast. And I hope you guys enjoy this conversation with Arion as much as we did. Thanks. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Plazy Warm-Up. Today, I am so excited to have Arion Herbert with us, a man who wears many hats, but officially the owner and founder of Main Attraction Recreational Sports. Arion, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having us, or having me.
Yeah, of course. So could you share the story behind Mars and what inspired you to start this organization?
Yeah, absolutely. For one, again, thank you for having me on this amazing platform. And to answer your question, what really kind of started us to, or motivated us to start Mars was, I actually had a childhood friend that got into playing adult kickball at a really young age. And so he's kind of the one who shed a lot of light on just the fact that the game itself existed. Based out of Charlotte, North Carolina, my wife and I, we wanted to start like an adult recreational league, and more so as a way to just kind of connect residents in the community. And we did it through a variety of different offerings: dodgeball, softball, basketball, and obviously adult kickball. Again, catching wind from one of my buddies who I grew up with. And throughout the time, we just kind of noticed that a lot of the adult athletes were gravitating a bit more towards kickball, which then, really allowed us to channel a little bit more energy into that and see where we could take it.
Love it. So for those who might not know kickball or maybe only know kickball from gym class, I know growing up when it was nice out, we were so excited to go to the park and play. Could you explain what is adult kickball and maybe just what someone would expect by going to one of your adult kickball events?
No, absolutely. And that's a great question. Adult kickball is very similar to what we remember it as when we were kids. It's very similar to the style of to most diamond style sports that you would see, like softball or baseball. But instead of the ball being pitched and a player hitting it with a bat, they roll the ball and you kick it. And pretty much the philosophy of the game works very similar to any type of diamond style sport that you see. What you would expect to see at one of our events is this game being played at a much higher and faster pace than what it was when we were in grade school. The players are pitching the ball a lot faster, and the athletes that are competing are far more athletic. And so naturally, you're just getting a more intense and a more vibrant game than most of us will remember. It's very competitive. A lot of times when we're hosting these events, the players are out there competing for cash, prizes, rings, championship T-shirts, and a variety of different things. So it definitely magnifies the intensity of the game. And then holistically, what you would see at our events is we always love to use that stage as a platform where we invite local businesses to be a part of that experience. So you'll notice a lot of different vendors offering a lot of their products and services to our spectators and those that are just coming there to experience the event. And so it's a weekend long event that's really just kind of inviting to young families, individuals that just want to see the game played at a high level, and then obviously some of the best kickball players in the world.
And I can attest to the athleticism. I know we'll get to more of the recording and the watching of the games, but it's incredible how athletic some of those athletes are on the field. But so I want to go back. I think one thing that's really interesting to me about your story are the parallels between our organization, our company at Play Easy, and starting it as on the event organizer side of things and not knowing that this world of sports tourism even existed. I think when you started in 2016, it was a world that was unknowns to you until you did more of a deep dive into running your own events. Could you talk a little bit about your experience from no knowledge of sports tourism to now really being a prominent event organizer within the industry?
Absolutely. It's almost embarrassing to share, the early years, considering, what we didn't know in comparison to what we know now and much of what we learned. But when we started in 2016, I think a lot of that can be attributed to the fact that we were only focused on offering our activities at a local level, So for us, there was really no desire or appetite to understand or to learn more beyond what we were already doing. And it's when we decided, my wife and I, that we wanted to create experiences for those outside of the Charlotte market is where we really got, a wake-up call. And so in 2019, when we hosted our first Turf Wars tournament, we noticed that we were attracting a lot of teams from various pockets of the Southeast, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, and the DMV area. That's where a large population of our players were coming from. So naturally, that created a mindset where when we start shifting to other markets, these were destinations that we were going to look at. A lot of the destinations where we're pulling in these players. And so in 2021, we decided that we were going to, try to expand into different markets. And Richmond, Virginia was one of the markets that we looked to expand into and blindly expand into this market, to be honest with you, until we made the connection with the facility who then guided us and helped us connect with the Richmond Region Tourism, who, then kind of like slapped us in the face and said, hey, wake up, here's how this industry works. And so much credit to Jareen and her entire team for really noticing, our inexperience and really encouraging us to kind of start learning the industry and learning how to navigate that piece.
That's awesome. And I think if I guess I could say it might have been embarrassing too. We had no idea that the world existed. We were trying to run our own events and searching for Google for sports complexes. And in the meantime, there were people that were responsible for bringing in events into their city to create that local economic impact and create the best event experience for your event. So we are in the same boat. And I think we've really grown, I think, together. I think you are the reason that we added kickball as a sport, which
Really?
is crazy to think. Yes. Gosh, that was
It's amazing.
3 or 4 years ago at this point. And so I love just seeing how much your organization has grown. But so to touch on your partnerships with these destinations, what do you look for in a host destination?
Yeah. So the number one thing that we look for is an organic relationship. Our ability to work closely with a destination and as true and as organic as a fashion as possible is the number one thing. And when we're working with them, a lot of that has to do with just genuinely working with one another to tap into a lot of resources locally in that market, whether it's making the connection with local businesses, leaning on one another for marketing support, whether that's digital or physical marketing that we're doing. And then obviously being able to identify the right venue and the right home for our events. And then obviously, a big part of what we do is really want to make sure that we're supporting the economy as much as possible by getting out there and pushing the word out to as many players as possible, inviting as many players as we can to be a part of this experience. And then also, even doing more to really kind of, encourage players to stay longer and drive up those heads in beds and different things like that. So when we're working with these destinations, it really is, in our minds, we truly envision it as a partnership. One of the big things for us and one of the biggest things that we hang our hat on is that the kickball industry is a tight-knit community, but it's a very small group of individuals. And you have a collection of league owners, a very small collection of league owners. And so I say that to say that for us, it's very important that when we do build these relationships, we hold up our end of the bargain. We do realize the acts that we're, or the reputation that a lot of our CBB partners have, and how, they're tapping into a lot of resources to support what we're doing. So it's important for us to make sure we deliver. And a part of that mindset is also really not overcommitting to certain markets. We like to, strike when we see a really good opportunity, and also try to use as much leverage as we can to drive players into those markets. So if it's a smaller market that may believe that, we may not, have a chance to secure turf wars, we don't ever look at it like that. We always kind of just look at the long-term picture and say, okay, maybe not next year, but how can we look at the years beyond, and what kind of leverage can we use on our end to make sure that this event is a huge success? So I say a lot of that to say that, again, we look to deliver, and also too, we've never canceled a tournament. And so that's big for us. We really hang our hat on that.
That's awesome. And for a destination or a sports facility listening, logistically, what do you need to host one of your events?
Great question. I can ramble about so many other things, and I missed some of the bigger parts. But
yeah, it's the bigger things. But what is the first step of being able to bid on one of your events?
Yeah. So the first thing that we always look for are the venue, the venue, the facility that we use. We always look for a minimum of 3 soccer fields. For us, that's really going to give us the full capability of being able to push and promote this event and have a realistic number of players coming into the community that can really have a huge economic impact. And so the facility is number one, at least three soccer fields. The type of surface that we look for when we say soccer fields, preferably turf. Turf serves as a really great insurance policy for us. We avoid rainouts and cancellations due to bad weather. Turf holds up well in the rain. And so for us, when we know we're making the commitment to plan a lot of these events out so far in advance, we know it's a 50% chance it's going to rain between now and then. And so for us, we really prefer to make sure that we can have a facility with a surface that allows us to facilitate as we promise. Recently, we started getting into utilizing grass fields, and we're completely open to that idea now. However, we do ask that the upkeep of the facility, well maintained, great drainage systems, things like that, just so that it doesn't deviate away from the experience that a lot of our players are accustomed to. Outside of that, when we talk about the venue, basic amenities, are things that we ask for: clean restrooms, concession stands, adequate parking. We're not the type of group that needs green M&Ms in our hotel room or anything like that. We really ask for, just the basics, as it relates to just, pavilion areas where players can sit, spectators can sit down and watch. Those are the type of things we look for. And then we also look for, that ability to have production on site. A few of the events that we did last year, we had ESPN a part of that event. So obviously that consisted of us bringing in a production team. And so whenever we do things like that, we do ask that, the facility is mindful that it, may look a little different in terms of the production side of things. But a lot of that are things that we put on our RFP, which I have to mention, we shared on the Play Easy platform on our profile. And when we shared it, just a ton of hits and a lot of different destinations reached out to the point where it was overwhelming at one point. So it was really effective for us to put our RFP on there. We made sure that we include a lot of that stuff on there.
We love to hear that. And I think it's interesting because we hear a lot from the destination point of view. We have 3 fields and we're open to a different kind of sport. And some people might not even know that adult kickball exists and that it could bring in the type of people, spectators. And you mentioned it, the likeness of sponsorships and promotions like the ESPNs of the world. And so thank you for going into the logistics of the first point of conversation there. And so you touched a bit on how kickball has a strong community vibe. And I think a lot of people who are going to be listening are going to say the same thing. I didn't even know I could participate in something like this. How have you been able to, one, grow and foster that community?
Man, it's a really good question. I think the first thing is just organically through social media. The social media engine is such a powerful vehicle. It allows the messages and the words to travel, far beyond what we ever envisioned. And so I would say that's number one. Number one, the way that we've been able to really kind of grow our community is through social media. But then, we've been able to kind of expand on that through creating amazing experiences for those that do participate. And so naturally, you're just seeing the evolution of our brand because of that. When these players, they participate in our events and they have amazing experiences, they go right back to social media. And now that expands our reach even more because now we're connecting with their community and a lot of others that, we may not have had direct contact with. So I say it's a combination of one, obviously social media, but then 2, being able to marry the 2 in terms of experiences and allowing that to make its way back to social.
That's awesome. And we will link all of your socials to this episode so everyone can see. I highly encourage. You have a lot of great clips and you can just see what an experience it is to be an attendee at one of these events. And so for your events, is it something you have to be a part of a team? Could you be an individual who wants to register for an event? And how do you go about kind of that registration process?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So for us, you can be an individual. You don't have to be a part of a team. You don't have to currently play kickball now to be a part of the experience. What we do and what we offer is we like to believe that we offer the biggest stage for players to showcase their talent. Right now, currently, as it stands in America, there's kickball leagues, local kickball leagues in every state that you go to. And a lot of those kickball players that play, so you have a large group of them that just kind of want to kind of experience other types of kickball. So you may get a lot of those players that play in local leagues that see turf wars and our tournaments as an opportunity for them to travel and play against other teams, and we invite them all. But even if you don't play in local leagues in your community and you say, hey, this looks like a cool experience where my friend and I, or maybe just me individually, would like to compete, we have options and opportunities for those individuals to register as a free agent. And then we help assign them to teams based off of their desires and the needs of an existing team. And so for us, what we've managed to do is we've explored and identified opportunities like that. And it's allowed us to grow our events through creating new divisions, because we do realize that we have a pool of teams and players that have been playing kickball for a really long time, that are at advanced level. And so we create a different division for them. But then we also have an intermediate level where you have some players that are more so getting introduced to the game. And we encourage and create those type of divisions for them. And we're even now looking for 2025 and beyond to even build a new division where it's catered towards players that haven't played kickball since grade school. And so that's kind of how we can create an environment where anyone can be a part of the experience.
So you're saying that our team could join for
There's
one
a
of these events. They will be very excited to hear that. And so I know you've already mentioned a few partnerships, and I want to get into kind of the ESPN partnership you have, but are there others, collaborations, partnerships that have helped bring Mars to new audiences?
For sure, 1,000%, absolutely. Forgive me if I don't name them all, or if I fail to name them all, but I know that the destinations, the CVBs, have really played such a huge role in allowing us to connect with new audiences and giving us the capability to really kind of take this brand to new heights. You have, and this is no particular order, but you have obviously Richmond Region Tourism, who I mentioned, the Maryland Sports Commission. We have Cobb County Sports. There is Visit Mesa, Sports Salt Lake. We have Charlotte Regional Visitors Authority. Obviously, how can I forget them? So many different destinations that has helped us, and forgive me if I left you out, but there's so many that have provided us with so much support. It's tough to say all of them. Obviously, we have tools and platforms like Play Easy, serving as such a valuable tool to really help us make the connection with a lot of the sports and tourism bureaus, those that we haven't been able to physically make the connection with. We lean heavily on that platform to connect with them and also connect with wider audiences. Not only that, but sourcing venues, hotels, and uploading our information. When we think about being able to reach a wider audience, it's bigger than just the physical audience, the digital community that we're able to connect with as well. And so through just a lot of the content and the articles and a lot of those things that we've been able to upload on that Play Easy platform has been huge for us.
I appreciate. I did not pay you to say that, but I appreciate you saying that, and we love to hear that it's it has been a useful tool. That's exactly the use cases of why we built the platform, was to help people like you who are trying to expand their business, open new partnerships and opportunities, and a way to build your brand and market yourself. And so one way that you have been able to expand to new audiences is your partnership with ESPN. Mm-hmm. I know you guys have had a few plays on SportsCenter Top 10. Very impressive that I saw through your social. Could you explain what is that partnership, what goes into it, and how it's helped really grow your brand?
Yeah, absolutely. We in 2022 we had the opportunity. We were presented with the opportunity to work alongside the Rock Hill Sports Commission, who I do want to shout out Brian and his team. They're amazing as well. We had the opportunity to work closely with them to host and facilitate the Turf Wars product on the ESPN network through the Rock Hill Sports Commission. They were featuring an Ocho event, invited us to showcase our product, and we gladly accepted and did that. And so that's really kind of what was the birth of the Turf Wars ESPN relationship. It was all kind of fostered through the Rock Hill Sports Commission. And once we were able to do that, I think we put together a good enough product where the casual sports fan, was able to stomach it, right? So it was one that most had an appetite for. And so that gave us the confidence at the time to, not only feel as though, hey, we may be on to something here, but even more so, it gave us the confidence to believe that we may have a place on this network, even if it's a small place, which we're completely okay with. We have a place on this network. And so, we went back to the network and just kind of shared that thought process and said, hey, we believe that, we have an opportunity here. And so after, a year and a half of just kind of negotiating, I think they believe that, we did have a place on their network. And so January of this year, we were able to agree to partner in the capacity of a streaming deal where our place on their network would be on their streaming platform, the ESPN3 platform. And so for us, it was a really exciting time for us. It was a huge milestone for us. And, we just looked at that as just another step to us elevating. And so, now as we look at 2025 and beyond, our mindset is just how can we continue to mature that relationship with the network?
That's awesome. And if I didn't say congratulations on that ongoing partnership. I know
Thank you.
It's a grind what you're doing. And so big wins like that go a long way. And so you mentioned how you collaborate with the local community during your events. Could you go further into how you work with the local community and how it enhances your programs and events overall?
Absolutely. And that's a great question, by the way, too. So whenever we host events, the first thing that we do is we look for a lot of the local businesses in the community. And we try to use the stage that we're creating as a platform for them to showcase a lot of their products and services. And so our outreach to local businesses is one that we put a lot of focus and attention into. So a lot of times we'll reach out to just, either local apparel companies, local tech companies like, Verizon Wireless or AT&T or a lot of those different companies, and even small mom and pop shops that are just looking for an opportunity to get in front of an audience and showcase their products and services. And through that, we allow them to be vendors at our events. And obviously, with the partnership that we're able to create with them, it enhances the event because their contribution to the event allows us to do things that we may not necessarily have been able to do without their support and contribution. We can pay bigger cash prizes, or we can, do more free giveaways and do different things like that. So we allocate their contributions in so many other ways to enhance the event. And then on top of that, just their presence alone kind of enhances the event because now players have an opportunity to just indulge in so many different things outside of the game of kickball. And even those who are just there to watch and spectate, they have an opportunity to kind of see what these local businesses have to offer. So in that sense, for us, it's just another way for us to contribute to the local economy and really support businesses that, value what we have.
I know from just our earlier conversations a few years ago, sponsorships and partnerships were such a huge part of kind of you believing in how your company was going to grow. What role has technology played in Mars's development?
Technology has played, a huge role in our development. Obviously with us, one, being able to develop impactful communications through AI technology or different things like that we use to serve as the voice for a lot of the language needed to communicate efficiently and effectively with potential sponsors. That's one thing, but also too, just kind of being able to stay current with modern times and really using that technology to stay ahead of the game. We've done things like we look to enhance our experience on the on-the-field experience. And so we use a lot of AI technology in that space where we've created our own virtual rule book that was built within ChatGPT. And so when you talk about players being able to access a rule or referee being able to access a rule by just asking ChatGPT a one-word question, and our ChatGPT rule book is spitting the answers out within a matter of seconds because it's pulling the information directly from our rule book, that also enhances the experience on the field. That kind of creates a better experience because there's more consistency, there's more quicker access to the knowledge of the game. There's less frustration if you're talking about players really not having an understanding of the game. So, just even thinking within that realm and being able to look at things from that sense, I think it really helps just kind of the overall product. But then even with that, ChatGPT serves as an amazing tool. I'm not ChatGPT, but just AI in general. The AI tool, the AI tool, serves as a really good way for us to really kind of tap into unlimited marketing capabilities as it relates to the marketing content we put together. If we're looking for ideas on really kind of how to put a graphic together, sometimes we use that AI as examples to help us, really kind of create the perfect marketing. We give AI a lot of information, and it gives back to us a lot of valuable tips and tools to help us kind of take things to the next level, and so technology certainly serves as a huge component of what we do. And then even with you talk about streaming with ESPN, we kind of was very, very intentional in terms of the communication that we had with the network when, we pitched the idea of us really going towards the streaming route, because we know that, technology, with everyone having their mobile devices and your tablets and your phones, and we're all on the go, being able to create a relationship with the network where people could access our games and our events in real time anywhere, whether you're at the airport getting ready to board a flight or you're at the sports bar with your best friend and you all are going out for a drink. And so we just look at different things and look at those different ways of technology to really kind of, again, create a strong brand, and then other things, we've incorporated technology just even into our check-in process. When players register and they sign up for events, we have a scan QR touchless process where, it's a seamless process. It ties into the experience where players are not waiting in extremely long lines to check in. It's almost like a TSA pre-check type of thing we have set up at our event. So, technology certainly plays a huge role.
I love it. It's definitely all about the easy experience for your consumers. So,
absolutely.
I know a big part of your organization's mission is to create an environment of inclusivity and diversity. And so how have you been able to create that community, and how much of a role does it play in your organization today and where it's going?
Yeah, it plays a huge role for us. Prior to my adult recreational life, I was in the DEI space in corporate America, human resources, diversity, and inclusion project manager. And so for me, it was at that point where I gained a sound understanding in terms of just kind of inclusion. And so, I always go into it with the mindset that, inclusion is just so bigger than black and white. There is a gray area inclusion. And when you start to look at it from that lens, it kind of opens up endless possibilities in terms of how you can really connect and allow your events to become more inclusive. We look at other communities like the disabled community for an example, where in Mesa a few weeks ago, we partnered with Lance and Visit Mesa, along with the local sports league out of that market called Mikey's League, to create a division for players with disabilities, both visible and invisible disabilities, and we called it the Limitless Division. And we had a group of kids that came out, and we hosted an adaptive style of kickball and invited them, and we hosted the event. It was free of charge, and they could come out there and compete. We gave them T-shirts and motivational wristbands and allowed them to really have a great experience. And that really kind of made our event more inclusive, but it also, enhanced the experience when you think about just the community of players in our organization that was supporting and volunteering and really kind of helping out in that space. And so, we've even found ways to kind of even expand out on that. What you'll notice with our weekend long events, we have co-ed division, we have a women's division, we have men's division. And in Mesa, we even did an Out Loud division where there's a local LGBTQ plus led organization called Out Loud Sports. And so what we did was we partnered with them and we created our own division. We allowed them to create their own division within our event to promote LGBTQ inclusion in sports, right? So these were things that we did and that we are doing to expand out and make our events more inclusive. And we even dubbed our own phrase inclusion by division, because we believe that by creating new divisions, our events are becoming more inclusive.
That's awesome. And I know Mesa's doing a lot of great things when it comes to accessibility. And so we love to hear good stories like that, and how, an organization like yours is just continuing to do good in the world through sport. And so I know, just talking through your journey, what a grind it is to start a company. and it's never ending. There's always new things coming, figuring out ways to expand and continue to grow your business. What are some lessons that you've learned over the course of the last few years in growing Mars?
Oh, do we have time? Um, hmm,
No.
yeah,
I could be here for days. No.
yeah, no, that is a really, really good question. You know, I think the biggest thing for me, I think the number one lesson that I would say is to really kind of make sure that we're utilizing our resources. You know, and I know that can sound very vague, but through us utilizing our resources like the destinations and things like that, that has really allowed us to survive as long as we had in the sports industry. You know, what most people don't realize is that when you're in, this business, it can be a lot, and especially with a lot of the challenges that you have to take on. It could be financial challenges through, field expenses and travel expenses and all of these different things. You know, it can certainly be a lot, and you can actually kind of navigate a lot better in those spaces if you're utilizing a lot of those resources like the destinations to help you in those spaces alleviate some of those challenges, right? Like, prevent some of those hurdles. And then also I also think that it's important to crawl before you walk and think quality over quantity, not bite more than you can chew. All of these are things that I've had to experience as I've been navigating in this industry. And I know these are all cliche sayings, but they're so true. One of the things about us that we have to learn is we'll go to a lot of these sports conferences and make a lot of really amazing connections where we're taking 60 plus meetings over the course of 3 days. And ideally, I would love to do 60 tournaments next year because we're having such great conversations with so many different destinations. But the truth of the matter is we can only do so many. And so knowing that and understanding that and realizing that and not overcommitting or making promises that you can't keep are important when, you're doing this. And then just trust the process. I'm a man of faith, so I'm always going to say trust God. But also just trust the process. There will be challenges, there will be hurdles, but it's really all about just knowing that it's a part of the process and just trust it. And at the end, everything will work itself out.
I love it. Unfortunately a Sixers fan, so I'm all about trust the process.
There's a lot going on there.
It is, yeah, that's a whole nother podcast. But so as we look forward to 2025, what are you most looking forward to? What are some things that we can expect going into the new year?
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to the new markets that we're about to create experiences in. This is going to be our first year where we're really kind of scaling up on the number of events that we're doing. I'm scared. But again, I have to take my own advice and trust the process. And so this year we're introducing 9 events, as opposed to what we traditionally offered in the past, anywhere between 5 to 6. But, we do realize that scaling up is a part of the process and it's going to be an important part in order for us to grow. And so, that said, there are new markets that we're looking to host in. And that's what I'm really excited about. I'm super excited about our first event of the year, which is taking place St. Patrick's Day weekend, March 15th and 16th, in Tampa, Florida. And this event is going to be a unique event. It's called Battle of the States. And it's going to be an event where teams that are coming out to compete, their rosters are built with state-born or currently residing players. And so if they want to play for a team, they have to either be born in that state or currently live in that state in order to represent their state. And so this is going to be an exciting opportunity for us just to kind of invite a new collection of players and see a different outlook on what the game traditionally looks like for us.
How do you come up with a concept like that? I mean, going outside of your traditional event, is that something you worked with your team internally? Is that something you worked with your destination partner with? Does that come about?
We kind of connected and was just kind of brainstorming some ideas in terms of how we came up with that. And earlier this year, on ESPN, we had an opportunity to kind of create something different, create something new. The network production and the Rock Hill Sports Commission, they really loved the Turf Wars brand and just really wanted to figure out ways where we can invite more of our players to be a part of the experience. And for us, obviously having 1 hour to showcase our product wasn't going to be really enough to invite as many players as we wanted to. But then we kind of started thinking and getting creative, and we created a whole pre-tournament experience prior to our airtime. And then we was like, well, why not build this experience where we do something different? Let's have teams build out by state and play Battle of the States in a one single elimination game, and the 2 championship teams get to represent their state on national TV. And so when we did it, it just kind of was, it was embraced like we never believed it. We never believed. And a lot of the players just were like, hey, are you ever going to do this again where it's a standalone tournament and this is kind of like its own weekend? And so it was like, hey, what better way to start off the year than to introduce Battle of the States in Tampa?
That's awesome. Everyone look out for that. I know we'll have that marketed on Play Easy. And so looking forward to all, you said 9 events in 2025?
Yes, 9 events. Yep.
9 and growing. So could we expect any more RFPs, or are we looking to expand into more events in the future outside of 9?
Absolutely. We're looking to expand into more events. RFPs can be expected. We're already starting to have conversations for 2026 and beyond. It's something where we're already looking to build our team, build a stronger team, because Lord knows that it's going to take a lot more for us in order to grow the way we envision. But yes, absolutely expect growth. Next year, we're doing 9 events. We'll be in Tampa, Florida, Gatlinburg, Tennessee, Auburn, Alabama, Las Vegas. We'll be in Las Vegas in the middle of the summer. In June, we're doing a midnight tournament, so it's called Midnight Madness. So the tournament's going to be happening through midnight,
Awesome.
into the morning. So I mean, really, that's the only way we could survive. We're doing Maryland this year, Orlando, Florida, Charlotte, North Carolina, Richmond, Virginia, and then Austin, Texas.
Awesome. I'm very excited to follow as you continue to expand. And so just as we finish up, what's one takeaway you hope people remember about your organization and its mission?
One thing that I hope that people can take from this is that we're very passionate about what we do, but we're really committed to walking the walk. A lot of what we say, we like to put action behind what we say. So, when we say we're committed to creating a more inclusive culture, we try to do more than that, more than just say it. We try to do it. And we're heavily committed to holding up our end of the bargain and creating amazing experiences. When we establish relationships with, again, these destinations, it's so important for us to make sure that we don't burn the resources that, they went out to help us establish. We're committed to really fostering and cultivating strong and profound relationships with local businesses in the community. And we're always looking to create experiences that our community and those that support it can enjoy. It's super important to us. So there's a lot of passion and care that goes into these handcrafted tournaments that we're facilitating, and we hope that those that support it can see that and feel it.
I love it. I know I can attest, just getting to know you over the course of the last few years and the partnership that we've created. You've been so great to work with, and a big reason why we've been able to continue to grow our platform on the event organizer side. So I just wanted to say thank you for your continued support.
Thank you.
I know I can speak for my team. We are so excited to see just how far you've come and to continue to see your growth. I know you're also a big family man. You were talking about your 2 sons recently. I know they must be proud of their dad, and hopefully one day out there on the field with you.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Won't be long. Won't be long.
Awesome. Yeah. And Arion, where would the best place to reach out to you, whether someone wants to get involved in one of your events, spectate, or wants to connect on hosting a future event?
Yeah, that's a great question. They can always reach out to us on social, all of our social channels. One, you can find me on LinkedIn. So if you really want to connect with me, you can just, my name is here on the screen. You can find me on LinkedIn that way. But then our social media channels is Play Mars Sports. And that's 1 S between Mars and Sports. And so you can find us on those channels: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. And we I know this is bad, but we, just started branding Turf Wars Kickball social media as well. So if you also want to find us on social channels, Turf Wars Kickball is now not only a social media channel, but it's a website as well. And we try to stay as up to date as possible, making sure that we keep things in real time. The Play Easy platform, you can always find us on there. We're always going to put our most recent events up there. And that's pretty much, how people connect with us.
Awesome. Great. Well, Arion, thank you so much for being
Thank you.
here. I've really enjoyed this conversation, and
Likewise.
we'll hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Okay, until next time. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Have
Bye.
a great one.